Istanbul. Just saying the name, it paints a picture, doesn't it? This legendary city where Europe literally meets Asia.
It really does. A total melting pot of history and, modern life just buzzing.
Exactly. And if you're tuning in, you've probably felt that pull, that urge to see it yourself. You want the essential info, right? But without drowning in, like, endless travel blogs.
Which is precisely what we're aiming for today. Yeah.
So this deep dive, it's all about getting you ready for that Istanbul trip.
Yep. We've pulled together a whole bunch of stuff, tips from people who've been there, safety advice, those little local insights that really make a difference.
The mission, then?
Simple, really. Give you, the listener, the practical stuff you need to have an amazing and, importantly, a safe trip. We've looked at travel blogs, official guides, even stories from other travelers.
Okay, let's jump right in. Planning. How do you even get there? Looks like two main international airports, right? Istanbul Airport, IST, and Sabiha Gökçen, SIW.
That's correct. Those are the primary entry points for international flights.
And something that jumped out was how many people fly in cheap from Europe. Like, seriously low fares on discount airlines sometimes.
Absolutely. It's become quite accessible from many European cities.
Mm.
And Istanbul is a huge layover spot, too.
Yeah, especially with Turkish Airlines. It feels like you almost should extend that layover, Dip your toes in.
It's a great opportunity. Some sources also mention Boosabout tours as an option for solo travelers wanting to connect.
Right. And Rome to Rio for figuring out routes. Good tool.
Very useful for comparing different transport modes.
But step one, non-negotiable. Check the Department of State website. Gotta know the latest travel restrictions before booking anything.
Crucial. Always check official sources first. Okay, so flights are sorted. Next up, visas. For many visitors, this is key.
And it sounds surprisingly easy, the e-visa thing.
It generally is, yeah. For $50, you apply online best to do it between 48 hours and 3 months before you go.
Gives you multiple entries within 180 days, but you can't stay more than 90 days straight.
Exactly. And remember, the passport rule
Mm-hmm.
needs to be valid for at least 60 days after your visa runs out, essentially.
Okay, some sources said you might still get a visa on arrival, like last summer, for U.S. citizens anyway.
That was mentioned, yes. But honestly, the e-visa is just way smoother.
Yeah.
Less hassle when you land. Definitely the recommended way.
Makes sense. Avoid queues. Okay, so you're in. Visa's good. How do you tackle this city? Because it sounds massive.
It is. Absolutely enormous. And that leads to one of the biggest tips we found.
Walking?
Lots of walking.
Yeah.
The traffic can be, well, one source called it horrendous.
Wow. Okay, so walking isn't just nice. It's sometimes faster.
Genuinely, yes. So comfortable shoes, non-negotiable for your packing list.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
You can't walk everywhere, right? Taxis.
Taxis are an option. They're relatively cheap, easy to find. Hail them, find a stand, or use apps like Uber or Bitaxi.
But there's a catch, isn't there? The meter thing.
Always. You absolutely need to ask for the meter or agree on a fixed price before you set off. No ambiguity.
And stick to official taxis, right? Not random unmarked cars.
Definitely avoid unmarked vehicles.
Yeah.
And another tip, carry cash. Not all taxis take cards, or they might claim the machine is broken.
Good tip. Okay, something more. Istanbul specific. The Bosphorus ferry. Sounds amazing.
It really is a fantastic experience, taking it from Eminönü over to the Asian side. It's transportation, sure, but also a super cheap sightseeing cruise.
Yeah, you get those iconic skyline views from the water without paying tour prices.
Exactly. Just be aware if someone offers you tea on board.
Ah, it's not free.
Nope. Not usually complimentary. Keep that in mind.
Good to know. Okay, let's talk highlights. The big hitters. Blue Mosque, Hagia Sophia. Gotta see them.
Absolutely iconic. And the great news for travelers is entry is free for both.
Free is good, but there's the dress code.
Yes, very important. Shoulders and knees covered. Women need a head covering. They usually have loaner scarves available.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone takes off their shoes.
Right. Prepare for that. Unique aroma inside, maybe. But the
Mhm.
history, just staggering. Ottoman, Byzantine.
It's incredible. And a little historical tidbit about the Blue Mosque. Its 6 minarets initially caused a stir because only the Kaaba in Mecca had 6. They had to add a 7th there to sort of maintain reverence.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that. So these aren't just tourist sites, they're active mosques. Respect is key.
Absolutely. It's about respecting a living place of worship.
Okay, moving underground now. The Basilica Cistern. Sounds like something out of a movie.
It really does. One source compared it to the mines of Moria, but, with water.
Huh. Built in the 6th century. An ancient underground water storage system. Amazing.
It is. There's an entry fee, about 350 lira currently. You can get guided tours, sometimes with skip-the-line access, which might be worth it.
But it's not included in the Istanbul Museum Pass, right?
Correct. That is
Yeah.
a separate ticket. But think about the engineering required to supply it, like the Valens Aqueduct. Just incredible Byzantine ingenuity. A must-see for visitors.
Definitely on the list. Now, bazaars. Istanbul is famous for them.
Oh, the bazaar culture is fantastic. You've got the spice bazaar first prepare for a sensory explosion. The smells, the colors.
And you have to try the samples, apparently.
Absolutely. They expect you to. And bargaining is key here.
Right.
Rule of thumb. Start your offer around half the asking price. Be polite. Make it a bit of fun.
Okay. And then the big one, the Grand Bazaar.
One of the oldest, largest covered markets in the world. It's like a city within a city. Historically, it was a massive hub on the Silk Road,
Wow, connecting East and West. But it's not just those two, right? There are others.
Loads. Arasta Bazaar near the Blue Mosque, Biasat Bazaar, the Saima Flower Bazaar for used books, which sounds charming.
Kadikoy Market on the Asian side for a more local vibe. Or Takoy Market, too.
Exactly. Whatever souvenir you're after, there's probably a bazaar for it. It's a huge part of the city's identity for tourists to explore.
Okay, something else cultural. The Turkish bath, the hammam. Intriguing, maybe slightly intimidating.
It's definitely an experience. Most sources say it's a must-do. Key things to know. Men and women are usually separate.
And ladies might be asked about removing bikini tops. Optional, though.
That was mentioned, yes.
Mm.
Optional. Just be prepared to get very, very wet and thoroughly scrubbed. It takes about 30-45 minutes.
The scrubbing sounds intense. What about the oil massage after? Mixed reviews.
Some people love it. Others find it a bit much. Maybe check recent reviews. And a budget tip came up.
Go on.
The less touristy-looking hammams, maybe near the Blue Mosque, might actually be more authentic and better value than the really slick ones aimed purely at tourists.
Interesting. It's not just about getting clean. It's a whole social ritual, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A centuries-old tradition, very much part of the culture.
Okay, shifting gears. Rooftop bars. Sounds like a great way to unwind.
Oh, yeah. Especially in the Beyoğlu area, near Istiklal Street and Taksim Square. They're described as a bit of a hidden gem.
You have to look up to find them.
Sometimes, yeah. But there are quite a few. And the views, especially at sunset, are supposed to be spectacular. Perfect for a drink after sightseeing.
Nice. And speaking of views, the Bosphorus cruise at dinner time.
Highly recommended. Catching the sunset over the city, seeing the bridges and mosques all lit up from the water. Sounds magical.
Yeah, one source joked about appreciating any excuse to be on a boat. I get that.
It gives you such a different perspective on the city's layout and beauty.
Food. Something called testi kebab. Is it?
Testi kebab, yes. T-E-S-T-I. Sounds intriguing, right?
It does. Meat and veggies cooked in a clay pot.
Exactly. And they seal it, slow cook it, and then crack the pot open right at your table. Dramatic.
Wow. It's supposed to be super flavorful and authentic.
That's the word. Definitely one for the foodie checklist for any tourist.
But beyond the big sights and specific experiences, the advice seems to be just walk, explore.
Absolutely. Wander. Get lost a little. Check out different neighborhoods. Sultanahmet, Taksim, Kadikoy, Erdekoy, Karakoy. Each has its own feel.
And talk to people. Locals are friendly.
Generally, yes. Very hospitable. One story mentioned a local going way out of their way to help a lost tourist find a shop. That famous Turkish hospitality.
That's lovely. Venturing out and interacting often leads to the best travel memories, doesn't it?
Without a doubt. You get a much richer sense of the place.
Okay, let's switch to a really important topic. Safety. Is Istanbul safe for tourists?
The general consensus is yes, it's relatively safe. But like any huge city, you need common sense. Be aware.
Right. One specific point from the Canadian advisory was about ongoing demonstrations since March 2025 and the risk if you get involved.
Yes, they advise caution. Getting involved could lead to questioning or detention. Best for tourists to just observe from a safe distance, if at all.
Good advice. The biggest crime issue seems to be pickpocketing.
That's the most common one tourists face, yeah. Especially in crowded places, markets, public transport.
So the usual advice applies. Secure bags, crossbody in front, locking zippers, ideally.
Exactly. Stay aware. Watch out for distractions. Use the hotel safer valuables. Maybe split up your cash and cards.
And one source really stressed keeping a hand on your pocket if valuables are in there, especially on packed trams or buses.
Crucial. Because pickpockets often work in teams. One distracts you while the other takes your stuff. Very slick sometimes.
Okay, now for the less pleasant part. The scams. Wow, it's quite a list targeting tourists.
There is. It pays to be aware. Let's run through some common ones.
The shoe shine scam. Polisher drops brushes, offers a free shine, then demands money.
Classic. Avoid unsolicited free shines. Then there are fake artifacts or coins sold near historical sites.
Right, real antiques aren't sold on the street. Turkish carpets, too, fakes sold as originals.
Yes, buy from reputable dealers if you're serious. The drink scam can be nasty. Someone invites you for drinks, then hits you with a massive bill.
Yikes. Be wary of overly friendly strangers inviting you places. Taxi scams.
Overcharging, meter broken, claiming no change. Always use the meter or agree on the fare beforehand. Stick to licensed taxis or use apps.
Currency scams in shops, charging in euros instead of lira.
Check the currency on the card machine before you pay. Pay in lira, ideally.
Scams targeting solo travelers pretending romance. Fake hotel bookings.
Yeah, be cautious of overly fast friendships. And always book accommodation through reputable platforms.
Fake police asking for wallets or passports.
Real police won't find you on the spot like that. Ask for their ID. Be suspicious.
Street-side sellers with dodgy goods, roses, perfume. Overpriced tickets for attractions.
Buy tickets from official booths or machines. Be wary of unofficial vendors, often no returns.
The falling cement man. Pretending injury for money. Photography scams.
The Simmet one is a known distraction or guilt trip. The photo scam involves claiming you broke their camera after they asked you to take a picture. Just politely decline taking photos for strangers if you're unsure.
Friendly ATM helpers trying to skim your card. Street guessing games.
Never accept help at ATMs from strangers. The guessing games are often just distractions for pickpockets nearby.
And that really unpleasant one where someone spills something on you and a helper pickpockets you while cleaning you up.
Yeah, be aware of sudden, unexpected messes and overly helpful strangers appearing immediately after. It's quite minefield, potentially.
So the general advice to avoid all this is pretty clear. Trust your gut.
Absolutely. Be cautious of anyone being overly friendly right off the bat. Don't accept unsolicited offers.
Confirm prices up front. Be extra vigilant in crowded areas. Seems straightforward but vital.
It really is. A healthy bit of skepticism goes a long way for a tourist.
Okay, good to have emergency numbers handy. Tourist police. 0212-527-4503.
General emergency, police, ambulance, fire is 1 in 12.
Police specifically is 155. Ambulance also 112. Lost children, women is 183. Traffic is 154.
And for Indian citizens, the embassy in Ankara, 000-90-312-438-219598.
Definitely worth saving those in your phone before you go, just in case.
Always better to be prepared. Hopefully you won't need them.
Health and safety notes, drink bottled water generally, though tap is okay for locals.
Bottle is usually preferred by tourists, yeah. Get travel health insurance essential. Check vaccine recommendations with your doctor.
Be aware of the weather, hot summers, cold, wet winters, potential for flooding near the Bosphorus.
It can happen. And it's an earthquake zone. Know that drop, cover, hold on, drill, just basic preparedness.
Air quality can be an issue in summer too.
Sometimes, yeah. Something to be aware of if you have respiratory issues.
Local laws, strict anti-drug laws, right? Carry photo ID, always.
Yes, absolutely mandatory to carry ID. And respect national symbols and figures, even online. Don't photograph military sites.
Then dress modestly at religious sites, as we discussed.
Shows respect. Crucial for tourists.
Nighttime safety. Usual big city advice. Stick to well-lit areas.
Pretty much. Use taxis or ride-hailing apps after dark. Avoid walking alone in quiet, unfamiliar areas. Standard precautions.
And specifically for solo or female travelers. Generally safe, but extra awareness needed.
That's the consensus. Be aware of surroundings, dress modestly, mind the local etiquette, avoid wandering alone late at night in quiet spots. Just sensible precautions.
Okay, let's talk customs and etiquette. Being polite goes a long way, using bey for men and hanım for women with first names.
Yes, it's a sign of respect, like Mr. or Miss, but used with the first name. Respect personal space in formal settings. And being slightly late socially is usually okay.
Greetings. Firm handshake formally. Cheek kissing for friends, family, starting left.
That's right. Or maybe just a nod or hand gesture in rural areas.
Yeah.
It varies.
And big respect for elders. Stand up when they enter, offer seats.
Deeply ingrained cultural value. Tourists showing this respect will be appreciated.
Dining etiquette. Hand washing before meals is common.
Often, yes. You might see basins provided. Utensils are normal, but eating some things like bread or certain kebabs by hand is also fine.
Sharing food is a sign of hospitality.
Very much so. Compliment the host, say thank you to try to finish your plate. If invited home, bring a small gift. Sweets or pastries are good. Arrive reasonably on time or let them know if you'll be a bit late.
Got it. Religious stuff. Be aware of prayer times. The adhan, the call to prayer.
Yes, you'll hear it 5 times a day. Some small shops might briefly close. Just be aware it's part of the daily rhythm.
And during Ramadan, extra sensitivity. Avoid eating, drinking, smoking in public during the day.
Definitely. It's a sign of respect for those fasting.
Hmm.
And mosque etiquette. Modest dress. Headscarf for women. Remove shoes. Be quiet. No photos during prayer.
Shopping. Haggling is expected in markets. Start low, be friendly.
Yep, it's part of the culture in the bazaars. Keep it good-natured. Carpets, ceramics, spices, textiles are popular souvenirs.
Tipping. 5–10% in restaurants if no service charge. Round up in cafes.
That's about right. Small tips for hotel staff, like 5-10 lira. Taxis rounding up is nice, but not required.
Language. Learn a few basic phrases. Merhaba. Hello. Teşekkür ederim. Thank you.
Always appreciate it. Affedersines, lütfen, please, shows effort and respect.
And avoid gestures like the OK sign. Can be offensive. Maintain eye contact.
Yes, good points. Eye contact shows engagement.
Okay, choosing where to say. One source, a Reddit discussion, really pushed for Kodoko on the Asian side.
Ah, interesting. What was the reasoning?
Said it was calmer, more local, safe, very walkable, lots of cafes, but still easy access to the main sites. Lively, but safe at night.
Sounds like a good balance.
Yeah, historic houses, churches, an old tram line, famous food spots like the original Turkish delight shop inventor, and great bakeries. Plus, modern cafes, vegan places, old book and record shops for unique souvenirs.
So it offers a more authentic, less intensely touristy base, maybe?
While still being connected.
That was the vibe, yeah. A good option for tourists wanting that blend.
Makes sense. Kadıköy has a great reputation for that more local feel.
Okay, finally, let's circle back to those travel advisories. Important stuff for tourists. The U.S. State Department 1, Level 2, exercise increased caution.
Correct. As of October 16th, 2024. Cites terrorism risks and arbitrary detentions.
And specific do not travel areas.
Yeah.
Sirnak, Hakkari provinces, and near the Syrian border.
Yes, those border regions carry higher risks.
The general concerns mention potential attacks in tourist spots, markets, hotels, transport hubs, places of worship, basically crowded areas. Standard precaution in many parts of the world now, sadly. Stay alert.
And the arbitrary detention risk. Based on scant evidence of ties to groups, even for criticizing the government online.
That is a noted concern in the advisory. It advises avoiding demonstrations, staying at hotels with good security, monitoring local news.
And enrolling in STEP, the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program.
Always a good idea for UN citizens traveling abroad. It helps the embassy contact you in an emergency.
Yeah.
It's crucial information to be aware of.
Absolutely. Got to take these advisories seriously when planning.
Staying informed is key for any international traveler. Vigilance and awareness are your best tools.
So wrapping up, Istanbul sounds incredible. A truly rich experience waiting for curious travelers.
It really does. And just to boil it down for tourists heading there,
Yeah.
keep an eye on your stuff, know the common scams, respect the local ways, and just soak it all in. Enjoy that amazing atmosphere.
Definitely. And that leaves us with a final thought. Istanbul is this amazing blend of ancient and modern, constantly interacting with travelers from everywhere. So, how does a city like that hold on to its unique cultural soul while navigating all these global influences? Something to think about, maybe, as you plan your own trip to that incredible crossroads.